When you look at Escape from Duckov, you think immediately it has to be one of those meme games that gets sent to YouTubers or streamers. They play for like a couple days, maybe a week or so, and then it's forgotten because, the game, it was made for a meme, it was made to get headlines, and then it was made to like move on to the next project or whatever is next. But surprisingly, Escape from Duckov, while it does have a lot of funny moments because everything is in fact ducks and there's literally a quack button, it's actually a very in-depth game and there's a lot to this game. Me personally, I have over 80 hours in the game and I haven't even gotten all the achievements or even gotten to the end final biome. And there's also going to be an update soon with an official Escape from Tarkov collaboration. And it's kind of crazy to me that this game that I thought when I looked at it, I was like, this has to be a meme game, similar to something like Goat Simulator way back in the day. But even though those Goat Simulator and games similar to that do have their charm, this one has a lot of thought put into it. And it was really surprising to me when I first started playing it. Now, before I get into more in depth about the game, please subscribe to the channel. I do these types of videos on Fridays where I talk about stuff that I'm personally interested in. So if you want to come check out the channel on Friday, subscribe, hit the notification bell, hit the like button if you like it, dislike it. If you dislike it, completely understand. It gives me good feedback. So I feel like we should just start at the very beginning. When you talk about Escape from Duckov, obviously heavy inspiration from Escape from Tarkov. Basically the same thing. You go in, you get loot, and you try to extract. You can do quests to unlock more things. You can build stuff in your base, similar to Escape from Tarkov, like the hideout. Now, I have played Escape from Tarkov, and I am not that good at Escape from Tarkov. And if I was going to go back to Escape from Tarkov, I'd probably be a PvE player. And, I have no shame in admitting that because PvP Escape from Tarkov is too intense for me. I am not a solo Chad in Escape from Tarkov. And the thing is with Escape from Duckov is that it feels much more casual, obviously, because it's a top-down shooter, but there's still a lot of depth. The guns have so many stats that honestly, I don't even know what some of the stats do because I'm not a huge gun person. And because of all these stats, a lot of the guns do feel really different, even though we're in a top-down, shoot-'em-up, twin-stick style thing. Though, when I say twin-stick, it is the controls of a twin-stick, but not nearly as arcadey. There is still aim-down sights, there's still a lot of recoil, actually. There are some guns that are really hard to use without attachments because of how much recoil there is. There is range limits on the guns, and like I said slightly a couple sentences before, there is a ton of attachments. And there's only just a ton of items in this game as well, as you're doing the quests and stuff like that. And honestly, one of the things about this game for me that made me just play it for so much is that it's just so easy to go in, do a round, and then just leave and come back later, or want to do specific quests and then leave, because this game doesn't have the stress that most people would attribute to extraction shooters. And that's one of the reasons why I stopped playing Escape from Tarkov, because it was just a stressful game and it just wasn't for me. It's similar to when people don't like playing ranked and competitive games like Counter-Strike or StarCraft or League of Legends, or any of those types of games where a lot of people prefer playing the normal modes or campaign or single player or whatever, because multiplayer can be really stressful. And Escape from Duckov, for me personally, hit that casual, I can play whenever, it's not too big of a deal style of game. And even that's when I was playing on the not normal difficulty. I was playing on the where everything is 100%. The standard difficulty that the game recommends is basically, I don't want to say easy mode, but like it's definitely much easier when enemies are at regular strength. And it does make sense because the game can feel a little strange at first when playing it, because you're expecting to like dash around and stuff like that because it's a twin stick shooter. But really you need to take your time, kind of like an extraction shooter, like an Escape from Tarkov, because you have to deal with the proper recoil and the type of gun you're using, the type of ammo you have, the type of armor they're wearing or lack of, and the type of armor you're wearing. Headshot, you can actually headshot in this game, even though it's a top-down shooter. Having your cursor over the enemy does headshot increase damage. So like being good at aim is still a thing in this top-down version of Escape from Tarkov. And I think one of the more interesting things from the game, we talked about the guns, we talked about that, but the enemies you're attacking in this game are obviously also all ducks. For the most part, there are other dogs as well, actually. But each type of enemy duck has a different type of quack. and you actually learn those types of quacks so you know what type of enemy you're attacking or what type of enemy is near you, along with what they look like, obviously. Like the red ones are always the melee guys. The ones that have look like kind of regular ducks are like the scavenger ones. Then there's one in basically full armor and helmet. Those are the more mercenary ones, and then there's even stronger ones in the labs area when you go deeper down. And going through these maps and fighting these different types of enemies, you'll start to learn how to deal with them, and you go into it knowing more when you leave, which is interesting because there is obviously you can get better, but there also your knowledge base gets better. And I feel like that's something that the game never really forces you to learn. It's just something that happens naturally. Like the game doesn't give you a tutorial on all the different types of enemies. Kind of just learn that overall. Now there are introduction things to the enemies. Like the first map you go to is mostly the easier enemies. Like they have lower equipment. Because as you get better and level up and get better gear, they start to have better gear as well. So the game does kind of level up with you, Skyrim style. But even so, you're even at the difficulty I was at, you're always at a risk of dying. Because eventually I turned the difficulty down because I wanted to just, I found some things incredibly frustrating, so I eventually turned the difficulty down. Like, for instance, the footage you're watching now is when I've decided to, you know what, I'm not into the, incredibly difficult enemies. Let's turn the difficulty down one notch just so I can, be a little more chill. And, I've enjoyed the game even more so than before because even though there is still a risk of dying, don't get me wrong, but it was the one-shots that were bothering me in the things, and I got one-shot a lot in the beginning of this game. Partly because medicine or meds or first aid in the beginning of the game kind of sucks on purpose. You kind of need to level up in order to get the better medicine stuff. And speaking of getting better equipment, I think it's a good time to start talking about the reason you're doing these outings, to get better items, to get better gear, and to get better equipment. And the reason is you're trying to escape from Duckov. So you're doing a specific storyline quest to get specific items to build a space van to fly out, right? And along these ways, you can do more quests to make things easier. So you can build different stations in your base in order to make things easier. And this is one thing where I like the base building Escape from Duckov. I just wish there was more of it. There isn't a lot after the fact. I finished the base building side of it way before I finished the actual going to the maps. Obviously I actually haven't gone to the last biome yet, but I finished building all the things you can build in the base a while ago and finished upgrading them for the most part a long time ago. And now I'm just locked off in terms of the actual RPG systems in the game because I haven't gotten to the final area. And I feel like that system might be somewhere you can maybe improve in terms of the game, because the gameplay of the game I think is good and you don't really need to change it. Like you can obviously add more to it, but I feel like it's lacking a little bit in the base building side of it, because I don't know why the base in the game is so huge. The base is ginormous and there isn't nearly enough stuff to fill it. I don't know if I'm missing something, but it feels like there is a lot of empty space in my base. And that could just be a me thing. Maybe I'm missing something, but I've done most of the missions in the game at this point, except for the main mission, the story one, to actually escape, because I wanted to do all the other side stuff first. And it's just a strange feeling that my base feels kind of empty. And then they even had an update where they expanded the base. I'm like, why are we expanding the base? There's nothing to build. I'm so confused. And I feel like every time I've watched someone play it, they still have all the same buildings that I do. So it's like, there's no more workbenches or areas to build. Maybe this is because they're prepping for the expansion. So they're doing stuff for the future. And if they're doing that, then that's great. But it's still weird to me that there's so much stuff that isn't taken. There's so much space that is not taken in the base. It's so huge. And speaking of the base itself, all these stations that you're building, you can upgrade them with some items you can get back from those missions. And there's also the weird station that you always have access to where you can upgrade your own duck, where they have a small RPG system where you can upgrade yourself. And upgrading yourself was really cool. I do find it slightly weird when you upgrade yourself or you upgrade during one of the stations. They have these weird time gate things where it's like, oh, it feels like a mobile game sometimes where you click a thing, it's like, oh, you have to wait 30 real life minutes for this to finish upgrading. I'm like, why is that a thing? I don't know why that's a thing. And a lot of the upgrades just finish instantly, but you still have to wait like the couple seconds and then it's done. And also this game does the huge thing where you can upgrade your inventory in your base, and I hate it. I wish there was just more space. There's so many items in this game, and you don't know what you need to keep and what you don't need to keep. I am obviously a hoarder. I'll totally admit that. I'm a hoarder, but it felt more than not often than not I was simply out of room in my base for stuff because I don't know what to sell and I didn't know what I needed eventually. And I also feel like maybe because I play extremely cautiously, or maybe because even when I was on the harder difficulty, I had a lot of weapons that I kept that I probably could have just sold, but it felt weird to sell weapons because, you know, you're not guaranteed to get them back if you die with them. So I don't know, that might have been just a personal problem for me because I have felt that I shouldn't sell a lot of the things because I would if I needed it. But I did feel also that a lot of things I probably could have just sold. So this maybe is a personal problem, like I said earlier. But I do wish they could continue just upgrading the space, hopefully in this expansion maybe, because especially if they're adding more items, I don't know, like I guess I'm just got to sell a bunch of stuff because I'm not gonna have enough space in my warehouse. Another strange mobile game feel is that the shops have limited stock, so you have to wait a couple minutes in real life for things to restock, because when you need to build the better ammo types, you need to buy gunpowder to upgrade them and stuff like that, and you have to wait for them to restock, which is slightly strange. I mean, there is a time mechanic in the game because of the storms, and we're going to get to the storms soon, but there's a lot of weird time gating stuff for the base, and it feels weird. It feels like it's like leftover versions of when they just wanted to make this a mobile game and decided to make it a PC game as well with no microtransactions. So it feels weird to me that there is still some of these time gatey stuff. Now, is it a like deal breaker? No, it's not. But it feels weird that it has those timers sometimes. And now to move on into one of the things that I personally did not like in Escape from Duckov. I've been praising it a lot, but I don't like the storm. I think the storm is annoying, and I think it is weirdly implemented, and the storm is the reason I decided to turn down the difficulty, because the storm enemies are very bulky and you are at a disadvantage because you have to wear storm protection armor. Now you can get the injectors for it, but those aren't guaranteed, and I found them very unreliable. And maybe it's just because I play slowly. I found the storm extremely frustrating. It was one of the reasons why I haven't beaten the game yet, because in the beginning, when I was playing on the regular difficulty, I would just constantly die in the storm. And so I was doing everything except for the storm stuff, and eventually you get locked behind, you need the storm crystals from the enemies to actually do stuff, and there's main quests in that you need to do in the storm. And that was what finally pulled the trigger for me to lower the difficulty, because I just felt like these storm enemies were too fast and too bulky, because I feel like these enemies are insanely fast and the game isn't really made for really fast enemies. Now there are fast enemies, like some of the enemy ducks can be fast, but the storm enemies take fast to a different level, I feel like, but they're also ranged. A lot of the faster enemies in regular outside the storm are melee enemies, and they're not projectile based ranged enemies, except for like maybe the speedy guy that's a boss, but he's a boss character, so you know he can kind of get a little bit of a pass because he's a one of a kind enemy. But all the regular storm enemies are just all super fast, they super burst, and because you're at lower armor, you die really fast. And I don't know if that is a skill issue on my part. I mean, it is partly skill issue, but I feel like the storm is one of the mechanics that made me halt my actual progression in the game. And while I still was enjoying playing the game, I wasn't really progressing the main story because I didn't want to go into the storm, which is a strange mechanic, especially when you have to go to the storm and you can only go in particular times in the game, and you're just camping your bed resting for multiple days in a row because you just need another storm, or you need to wait until a rainstorm for certain like quests and stuff like that. When you're doing the fishing minigame, which there is a fishing minigame, camping the bed until rain is a thing, and that's kind of annoying. I wish there was a option where you can just camp until, or like sleep until rain or sleep until storm options. But overall, I feel like I really enjoyed my time in Escape from Duckov. And yes, I do think the storm is weird. I wish you could get better armor that are storm resistant. And now I know in the final area, some of the armors you can get are there, but you have basically zero access to them until you get to the final area, which I feel like the storm has existed basically since the very beginning of the game. You're just told not to go into it until you have to, and at no point can you really get armor that is for the storm. And I really wish that eventually you could just get body armor that actually has resistances or actual armor values other than the radiation suit, basically the purple radiation suit. But that might just be me. That might be a me thing. Let me know in the comments down below if that's a me thing, if that's a common complaint or not that you guys had when you were playing it. For me, the storm is what made the game from like, you know, a 9 or 10 out of 10 down to like a 7 or 8, because I'm like, the storm is annoying and I don't like it. And it feels so different from the regular game that it made me not want to play it because I didn't want to do the quests in the storm. But maybe that changes when I get to the final zone, and so I can actually get some good armor for the storm. And then if that is true, then I really hope they eventually do add that better armor. But then, hey, the expansion, or the crossover at least, for Escape from Duckov and Escape from Tarkov is coming out February 10th. So maybe they change that. I mean, we do know there's going to be a new zone, so that'll be interesting. And a new mounting system, which I don't even know what that means. Like, I know there's a mount, but what the heck are we mounting? So I'm still very excited about this game, and the fact that the game is also still very cheap and has a full modding community, though I've seen some people be very cautious of the mods. A lot of them are, some of them can be classified as malware and stuff like that. I've never touched the modding scene. I personally don't really care about the modding scene in Escape from Duckov. I've only ever played vanilla. But hey, if modding is your thing, there's a bunch of mod stuff for Escape from Duckov as well, though that is something I have not touched at all. And I've really enjoyed this game that I thought was going to be a meme game, and then I saw it in action. I was like, wow, that actually looks pretty good. And then I started playing. I'm like, wow, this is actually, have a lot of thought into it, and it's a real game. It's a joke, but it's a serious game, and I feel like that's hilarious in so many ways. I wish more meme-like games like this have a lot more thought into it, an actual end game and like story. I mean, I played this game for over 80 hours and I haven't finished it yet, and I can't wait to play more. So I feel like that's just saying something. That says something about the quality. Thank you everyone for watching today's video. I really appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoy this type of video. I do these types of videos on Fridays, so come over to the channel on Friday and check this personal opinion videos out. Like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you disliked it. I completely understand. Comment down below what you guys think about Escape from Duckov. If I convince you that you should play it, if you have played it, let me know how you guys feel. If you'd like to support me directly, please go over to my Patreon at patreon.com/thetechnojelly. You get a once a month live stream as well as joining these credits going across the screen right now. If you want to support even more directly, I have a coupon code TechnoJelly at poggers.shop for their energy, hydration, or sleeper aid drinks. You get 10% off if you use my code TechnoJelly at checkout. So please do that if you were going to do that anyway. And if you'd like to follow me on other platforms, I have a Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, and Threads. Click or tap my face and or the video above me if you'd like to watch more videos, and I'll see you in those videos. Goodbye, everyone.